So we're going to start with the alder core here, and we're going to route this out for a Strat type body. Take this to the Craftsman 10-inch bandsaw, cut all this off. So we're going to do a dual quilted top and back will both be quilt, and we're going to bend over that arm completely. And we're going to route this to shape after we cut it out on my Craftsman table router. Here you don't need big equipment to do this. We're then going to cut off where the arm is going to be. Going to use the top. Make sure it's laid out correctly. The trick is to cut this out and leave enough so that you can bend it over. How many inappropriate jokes will we have during this video series? So here's the back side where we're going to bend it over, drawing with pencil. The last one I did of these, I realized I didn't cut deep enough. So here, this is a 1/4 inch top, and we're going to try and cut 1/8 of an inch down. So we're going to score with the ruler and figure out where we're going to cut. We're going to come back with these Japanese chisels. We're going to take about a 1/16 off, and then we're going to cut down another 1/16 with that fret clean out tool from Stu Mac. This is going to allow the wood to bend on that full curve. So this is just making sure that once I remove the wood, the bend goes smoothly. And this Japanese chisel set is actually really helpful. It's one of those handy tools for you guys to have. I would recommend for, I don't know, 20 bucks. This was actually a great tool. So we'll take a couple lines out. We'll then cut it with that fret saw. So you take out a lot of the material for the big bend and then just a little bit more so that it bends over easily. We're going to slice off the back here where the arm bend's going to happen, and then we're going to sand it as well, but for some reason the video didn't capture that. I've got my Wagner steam generator, and what I didn't do last time when I did this is I didn't let this sit long enough. So I let this sit for about an hour, and we just slowly clamped it down, and it worked out really well. We let it sit for about 3 weeks then, after it was bent, and this did pretty good. We then take a little bit of wood glue and just a couple drops of water and thin it out a little bit. We then are going to put it into a syringe and inject that glue into the bend over. Stick in a screwdriver to get a little bit more depth. And we'll just force this in. Come back with the clamps and clamp it back down. So it's already bent. It's stable. Now we'll just put more glue in there and get it to come over. A little bit of glue everywhere, but clamping it down nicely. I only got 2 small tear outs I have to clean up. We'll then go ahead and trim and get this all set up for the top. We did the top first. Clean up the top route. So then I've got it to pattern. And then we're going to size up the top so that the body's only 1 3/4 thick. This is where it's really nice to have this larger bandsaw. We'll then run it through the sander, sand it after I cut it. Then we're going to mount the back to the top. I drilled 2 screws on the back side there where the neck plate's going to be to hold the plate on, and then I put a couple screws on the side so that it doesn't move. We put it into the wine press clamp and let it sit for a couple more days. And then same process as the back side where we then cut off the waist. Run this outside and trim it. And we do a lot of sanding on this. So this I think is 120 to clean it up, and then we flop it out to 180, and we take this all the way up to 220. Get the sides nice and clean. So we have an alder core and quilted maple top and back. Could not bend over the belly cutout, so I actually just had to cut that off. And then a ton of sanding on this project. Start with 120, and then as we move up through the different routes and clean up, just continue sanding. This is the 120 rough sanding after we did the arm cutout. Or belly cut out. So then we're going to put a round over on. I don't know what my camera was doing here, which one I was using, but a 1/4 inch round over on both sides. And then of course lots of sanding after doing the round over. Those round over bits get burn up the wood pretty quick, and here you just have to sand more. So I think this is 180 grit then. 120 is too aggressive and it starts eating up the round over. Then we're going to move to routing, template routing. Doing a T-style neck on an S-style body. So using my standard template that I do all of the whiskey barrel guitars in. And then I've got these custom routes that I double stick on for single coils with those mounts from Stu Mac. So I knew I was going to just mount them. I didn't want to obviously put a pick guard on this. Had this template for years. So then we're going to take a old pick guard and we're going to use that as the way to do a blade. So we're going to drill and sand this out. Probably could do a whole video on how to make these with just hand tools. I drill out on the outsides and then sort of work my way in, and then I get a credit card with some tape and I file it down with that sticky sandpaper and get it flat. And it's just, you know, a slow process. This is the back then for the control cavity. I'm gonna do a big one here. I wish I would have thought about getting this all routed before I did this, but wasn't that far ahead in my process. And this is the template for the control cover. And now we start moving up into higher grits to get this ready for the stain. This I know is 220 now. Lots of sanding. I didn't have my rolling pin sander at this point. But we're going to go for a blue. We're going to go with a dark blue here, and then we're going to sand off and come back with a light blue. Kimbo was looking for sort of like a traditional blue, and I thought if I put the blue, heavy blue down first and sand it and came back with a lighter blue, it would look good. Here the wood is really soaking up the dye. I don't know what it was about this way it was cut or this type of grain specifically, but it was really kind of almost went purple with that blue. Probably could have done a black base with a light blue. That may have gotten a little bit better of a color scheme. But we sand off the purple. The corners were really hard to do. But you can see in the center there, the purple really sits, which was kind of a pain. So we're sanding pretty heavy to get this back out. And then we have to sand the sides by hand, which this is where you needed the rolling pin sander, huge pain. And I still, at this point, thought I was going to just leave it blue, which is why I spent all this time sanding. We're going to test the screws here and the switch, make sure this fits. Nothing worse than getting to the spraying part and making sure it's not all lined up. So we're checking that here. Double checking with the neck and the bridge and making sure that this is all lined up. So here's my custom 25-inch, 25.5 ruler that I use. Just made a tool for myself to always line these up from the nut. Marking off where the bridge is going to go. Drill with a 16th bit. And you'll see a screw up later. Here we're going to come back with some thin light blue. This gets us the color that he was looking for. Still a little bit more purple than I'd like, but some of my lessons learned here. This is where I really did not like the sides. For some reason, I couldn't get the color to evenly match. And since I had the cutout there, I really did not like the way the sides were looking. A little bit too much purple. We'll get the color on evenly and then hit it with some sandpaper again. Found these sanding balls, which really help take off some of the purple on the side. Still at this point, I'm thinking I'm going to leave this all wood. And then we use one of those pads on the sander here to even up the color, lighten it up a little bit. A lot more power sanding on this one than I've done in the past to get the color right. The sanding ball, I think I got from Klingspor, really, really helpful. So since I had so much blue left in it, all we're going to do is take a little bit of neutral on a clean rag, and we're just going to wipe this on. What it's going to help do is bring the blue back up, even out the color. And here's where I get more of that sort of blue, baby blue look. You can see me dabbing on the towel, just too much color. I wanted to keep it clean. I sealed it with the Mohawk sanding sealer, and then I come back with some 2K and put a couple coats of 2K on to see what it looks like. I don't know if you can tell really here, I am just not liking the blue on the sides. It's darker, it draws your eye away from the top. Here you can really see it. So this is where I start wet sanding it. And I just didn't like it. The blue came out really nice on the top. It's a nice even blue. I thought I was going to do maybe like a sparkle or something. And that's when my friend on Instagram sent me, hey, we can do this. And that was the right way to go. I just don't like that look right there. You can see how much darker it is. So I shipped the guitar off to New Mexico, and JGP Custom Finishes put this together. It is a blue color change, a little blue and purple. Sides look awesome. Top really pops. He put a Solacure finish on it. Here you can really see how awesome it looks. Really spruced up the sides. I didn't want to do like a traditional sparkle. I didn't think it was going to look good. I'm not the greatest painter, so let's hire an expert to help us out here. It's a special guitar for Mr. Kimball, so got to make it look good. So we come back and we begin mounting the hardware. The screw broke on me here. Massive pain for me, but we put a plug in and a longer screw and fix that up, and then we'll go live in video here to give you a test. This is the bridge. The middle and the bridge. Middle. That really sounds awesome. Here is the neck and the middle.